The Future Ahead by Wurdang Luith Chapter 5. Those who die on the front line and behind the war. Every battle in a war has a front line, and in the civil war in Sudan, the front line was in the southern part of the country. On the battlefield where our heroes fought, some were killed on the front line so that we could have freedom. After the war, millions of people, children and the elderly, and animals died due to lack of food. Meanwhile, Khartoum, the capital of Sudan, became a place of slow death, as many people died because the city had nothing to offer. People from the south did not have the necessary skills to join the workforce. They lived in displaced camps, also known as refugee camps, around the capital. Refugees are those who flee from a war. The south and the north of Sudan were two different countries with other languages and religious beliefs. People in North Sudan speak Arabic, while most people in the south speak a local African language or English. Sudan was divided even before the official separation on July 9, 2011. These challenges prevented Southerners from finding work in the north. Moreover, most places were not accepting Southerners to work due to religious laws. Most businesses were owned by Muslim believers who did not allow Christians to lead their companies or organizations. Some people couldn't even find a job, and the camps they lived in were like open prisons of death because the environment was hot and unhealthy. For some young people, the only option was to sell water on the streets, carrying it on the back of a donkey in 2 barrels, each holding 6 gallons of water. Some others made a living by shining shoes on the streets or were homeless. People couldn't afford to go to the hospital or school. In Sudan, people viewed the world only through the lens of religion and beliefs. Unbelievers were seen as evil and worthless, both in the present and on the day of judgment. Believing in God was the only way to survive in North Sudan. Those who didn't believe in God had to pretend to. Non-believers were considered evil and losers. We were refugees in our own country and land. Religion was to blame for Sudan's division, and it remained a dark place in Northeast Africa forever. Today, to rent a hotel with your wife, you need to have a marriage certificate to enter. In 1989, after an Islamic government came to power on June 30th, things took a turn for the worse in Sudan. Sudan became 2 fractured parts, with people living in 2 parallel worlds, believers and non-believers. Non-believers were seen as enemies of the country who would be punished in hell at the end of the world on the Day of Judgment. South Sudan was in a dangerous neighborhood that saw the world as a one-way street during all the dark times. The war may have ended, but memories and its impact remained. The crisis in South Sudan had a political structure that hindered the South's development even before Sudan's independence in 1956. Inequality pushed the South to go to war with the North. When people face unfairness, peace and freedom are limited, and violence and war become inevitable. South Sudanese had no choice but to engage in a war that destroyed everything, including values, cultures, and national identities. The South demanded equality in political opportunities and resource distribution by the laws. Christians and blacks could not hold any position except for vice president or vice chair. One would expect people who fear God to do the right thing and treat others humanely, regardless of their beliefs, but this was not the case in the Sudanese Civil War. The war left nothing behind but death. It raises challenging questions that may not have satisfactory answers. These questions include whether God exists and how you know if He's responding to your prayers. It's not easy to deny or accept that the beautiful world came about by accident or was created by an intelligent mind. The question is not whether God exists, but about His nature. A powerful, brilliant mind undoubtedly created everything, including me. He might not know the future. The story of Adam and Eve might suggest that the Creator lacked knowledge of future events. Another perspective is considering all existing things and their interactions that could lead to different physical objects. The sin of Adam and Eve, which brought death, implies that you have a 6-month-old baby in a room with a deep hole near the table where milk is kept. If you leave the baby alone, they will go for the milk. Yet for some reason, you leave a sign saying, "Do not go to the table, or you will fall into the hole," knowing that the baby can't read. Adam did not understand the concept of death, even after God warned them not to eat from a tree. The belief that death came from sin doesn't hold up to rational thinking. It's a simplistic explanation.